Supervisor Bob Vinson was on the night shift on the second floor of the hotel when he noticed a strange-looking machine in the corridor that hadn't been there a little while ago. This floor was dedicated to employees, and seeing this weird machine at this hour made him feel something was off. It was a metallic box, with a smaller box connected to the top, and the front looked like a bizarre control panel. The control panel had a total of 28 switchable keys, and right now it was 6:30 in the morning. They were at the Harvey's Lake Tahoe Hotel and Casino in Nevada, and this was about to become national news in the next 24 hours. For Bob Vinson, it wasn't just the weird machine that caught his attention. He had been on duty almost all night and didn't hear anyone put it in the corridor. Whoever left this machine had placed it on 4 wooden blocks, and it was sunk into the carpet, making it clear that it was pretty heavy. What made this situation even stranger was where the machine was sitting. Someone had jammed super glue into the locks of the doors around him. Bob Vinson was still trying to figure things out when he spotted an envelope next to the machine. It had "To the Harvey Management" written on it. Welcome back, viewers, to the Harvey Lake, a famous casino and hotel in Nevada. At the time we are talking about, it was an 11-story building with 197 rooms. When Bob found the envelope on the second floor, he ran off to call security. I called in the police and fire department. At first, nobody had the guts to even touch the envelope because everyone was worried it might be a trap. Eventually, someone used a broom to nudge it, and then we opened it. Inside, we found a 3-page document typed on a typewriter. The headline at the top read, "Warning for Hotel Management and Bomb Squad." Below that, it warned not to try moving the bomb because it had a mechanism that could trigger if disturbed. If it moves even a little, it could go off in a second. Don't even think about putting water or gas into it because it has float switches inside. If you do that, the air pressure inside the machine will increase, and it will blow up. The screws on top of the machine are connected to the trigger, so even turning a screw just 25 degrees could cause it to explode. To put it simply, this bomb was so sensitive that even a slight movement could set it off. According to the letter, at that time, there were 600 guests in the hotel. The police first evacuated the hotel and told everyone to head to the parking lot. After that, they called in the bomb squad, who checked the machine thoroughly. It was a box made of about 1/2-inch steel, welded really neatly. Even where there were some marks, they had used body filler to smooth it out. There were bubble levels on all 4 sides of the box, probably installed to keep the machine perfectly level. All this was pretty telling. Maybe what's written in the letter is really true. The letter also mentioned that this bomb can't be disabled in any way, not even by the person who made it. It has an automatic timer that can go off in the next 24 hours, and that will only happen if the management follows the instructions given in the letter. Law enforcement agencies and bomb squads haven't taken any steps that could risk the bomb going off. Considering the seriousness of the situation, they first tried to find any fingerprints on the box. They couldn't find anything, so they started taking photos of it from all angles and did an X-ray with a special machine to see if there was actually something inside or if it was just a hoax. While the X-ray was developing, they put a stethoscope on the box and listened closely. There was definitely something making noise inside. Something was moving around in there. The letter claimed there was TNT in the box, but how much? It mentioned somewhere that if the bomb went off, it would affect the road. The nearby casinos are going to take a big hit, and they even wrote down some words advising people to stay away from the bomb's 1,200-foot radius. The police officers cleared out the surrounding buildings, shut down the hotel's gas line, and casino employees started moving millions of dollars in cash somewhere else. FBI agents showed up at the scene and set up a command and control center in a nearby building. The faces of the police and law enforcement agencies were frantic. They were saying that the situation is even more serious than it looks, but whoever planted the bomb here had some demands. The letter said they wanted $3 million in cash, but there were conditions. The bills had to be used with no markings on them and no chemicals on the notes. It also said that if anyone tried to be clever, they wouldn't reveal how to defuse the bomb. And if the demands weren't met within 24 hours, the timers would automatically detonate the bomb. But still, when the X-ray film came back from the lab, it was a bit blurry and black and white, but it kind of backed up the threatening letter's claims. On the machine, there was a small control box, and the X-ray showed that it really had wires connected to screws, just like the letter mentioned. Inside the box, there was a straight tube that might have been a tilt sensor, and a float valve was also noticeable. Plus, the lower box was filled with different cylinders, but at that moment, the cops had no idea what those cylinders were for. Nobody had any idea about this, but one thing was clear: the person writing the letter wasn't playing a prank. This machine was definitely a bomb. The 24-hour deadline was ticking down, so the authorities were getting ready to comply. The 3-page letter included details about delivering the money, which was supposed to be dropped off by helicopter. It had instructions for the pilot to land near the LTA building at Lake Tahoe Airport at 11 p.m., and the helicopter had to face south. After that, the pilot was supposed to get out and stand close to the fans where he would. You'll get a call with all the instructions. Just remember, the helicopter should only have the pilot, no gunman or anyone else. This job was carried out by an agent named Cook, who started the FBI helicopter. They stashed $3 million in cash inside, but it was all fake money. A gunman was also hidden behind the pilot's seat in the helicopter. The gunman was told to protect the FBI agent no matter what. At 11 p.m., the FBI agent landed at the designated spot. He got off and stood by the fans. After a little while, the phone booth near the fans started ringing. When the agent picked up the phone, a guy on the other end said that there was a letter under the table of the phone booth and to go read it. The person on the other end was pretty clever. He didn't want to stay on the public phone for more than 5 seconds, because the longer the call lasted, the higher the chances of being traced. The new letter was addressed to the pilot and instructed to first go to the helicopter and shine a flashlight all around inside it. Don't forget, we're watching you. After that, take off and head towards Highway 50. In about 15 minutes, you'll see a strobe light in the woods on your right side. Land facing south, near the strobe light, and there you'll find another letter hanging from a tree. The pilot did just that. cleverly lighting up the helicopter's cockpit to avoid being seen by the gun, and then flew straight to the spot where the strobe light was supposed to be. Once he got there, he looked around, but couldn't see any probe lights anywhere. He didn't know what to do for the next hour, so he just kept circling around. But in the dark of the night, with no movement in the woods, he decided to head back to the airport and landed there. Later, they found out that he hadn't read the instructions properly, and the place they were actually supposed to go was miles away. To send a message to the person giving the instructions, the news reported that there was some confusion about the location. When the guy who planned this whole thing found out the police were still ready to pay him, I called the station and told him to switch the machine in the hotel to number 5 and wait for the next call. Maybe he was trying to buy some time to come up with a new plan. He had asked to flip the dummy switch up, but now it was too late. It was around 6:40 a.m., which meant the bomb had been in the hotel for over 24 hours. But even after the deadline, it hadn't gone off. That was a good sign. Meanwhile, the teams from the FBI, bomb squad, and fire department at the command and control center had a sense of what was happening. The box could hold up to 1,000 pounds of TNT. They were calculating whether it could go off in the hotel without damaging the building's pillars, figuring it would only affect the floor's interior. So they fitted a small control box next to the bomb. The plan was that when the plastic bomb detonated, it would disable the control box, hopefully preventing the TNT from going off. Everything was set. They had evacuated the nearby buildings and were ready to blow it up. It was around 3:45 p.m. on August 27th. A crowd was standing about a kilometer away watching the scene unfold while news outlets were recording it. Suddenly, there was a loud fire in the hotel and someone pressed the remote control button. The machine lying in the corridor detonated due to the impact, causing a bomb blast. But as it turned out later, it didn't contain TNT as mentioned in the letter. Instead, it had dynamite, which is much less powerful than TNT. So, who was the person behind this bomb? The investigation revealed that the guy who planted the bomb at the Harvey's Hotel and Casino was a 58-year-old named John Biggs, and both his sons were helping him with his scheme. He had already lost all his life savings at that casino, so he cleverly came up with this whole plan to get money out of the hotel owner. It later turned out that John Biggs's plan was to steal cash along with a helicopter. If the pilot had reached that spot and landed in the forest to look for a new envelope, John Biggs's sons would have made a run for it with a helicopter to a location they had picked out. John Burgess was sentenced to 20 years in prison while his sons were let off in exchange for helping the police. John passed away from liver cancer in 1996. After that incident, the hotel owner renovated the Harvey Hotel and relaunched it with a new design and more rooms. Hope you all like and share this video.